I'm 5 years late to the party, but welcome to the Octo Expansion of Splatoon 2, the underground test facility and metro system that has totally forgotten the meaning of ethics. Time to try and destroy this company and my inner demons in just under 3.5 hours. So, this is a Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion all-mission speedrun. The rules of this category are simple: just beat all 88 levels, the Deep Sea Metro, the escape sequence, and all 7 boss fights, including Inner Agent 3, and my goal was to try and do this in under 3.5 hours. Huge credit to Lontro, whose run is linked in the description, which I used as a guide for learning this category, and also to the whole Octo Expansion speedrunning community for finding all the cool speedrun skips and routes that I'm about to use. Here we go! The first 5 minutes of the speedrun are just tutorial areas and cutscenes. The game is in Spanish because there's less text, making the game's dialogue faster. But once we get to the first couple levels, it starts to get fun. For routing, I'm going to do the any percent route first, and then go back and beat every other station. That's because you need to fight the final boss at some point, so might as well do it early so that you don't waste a huge amount of time if you reset. Most levels in the game will have nothing interesting about them, they're just doing the intended way fast, or the station will be timed, so you can't speed it up even if you tried. So in this video, I will only be going over the levels that are actually worth talking about, mostly in the order that I did them, although I will also group similar stations together. So don't be surprised if the majority of the run is cut out. AO7. This station has some really cool speedrun skips in it. Firstly, you can ride on this moving platform to get enough height and jump onto these railings. From there, you can turn into an octopus and back to give yourself just a bit more height and jump across to a later part in the level. From here, you can do one big jump using the same technique from the moving platform to fly across to the very last checkpoint and activate it just before you die. I love inkjet levels so much because Nintendo just totally forgot how far inkjets can fly. So nearly every single inkjet level will have some sort of skip in it. 8-ball levels are just as annoying as they are normally. JO3/DO8, all round known as one of the hardest Octo Expansion stations. It's Girl Power State. No, JO3/DO8 is one of the easiest levels to speedrun. All you need to know is where the Octolings spawn, and you can spawn trap them. And it's timed! You literally do not need to speedrun it, it will always take 1 minute and 30 seconds. I even chose curling bombs just so that I could get to the level slightly faster. Also, this last Octoling got stuck behind a wall, which is funny. JO2 is the hardest station in the game to speedrun. JO2 is a matching station, where you are intended to slowly take your time and remove the boxes carefully, but us speedrunners have never understood the concept of taking your time. Choose the Rapid Blaster, the weapon with the highest chance of accidentally hitting a brown box, but it does have the largest radius, meaning you can shoot multiple orange boxes at once. It's incredibly risky, but is much faster and also looks insanely cool. JO1/HO7 is our first of 7 bosses, the Octo Shower. Okay, look, Nintendo, you can't see white text on a white background. But anyway, we have Inkjet for this fight, which makes it much easier. There are also some really cool fast rats where you can shoot the Octocoppers as he's trying to shower charge you. With the first thing acquired, I was making really good time and did basically every level so far perfectly, but that was about to change. The next thing only has 2 very easy levels before it. JO5/C14, grind rail levels are usually pretty boring and easy because you can't speed them up and you just have to sit and shoot targets. But Julies in a grind rail level turn them from a simple auto-scroller into an all-you-can-eat buffet serving only dodge rolls. Julies have an ability that lets you do a dodge roll and move in a direction very quickly, but it's only supposed to stop at 2. But on a grind rail, you can get infinite dodge rolls, so every single opportunity will be dodge rolling forward. And combined with skips, these levels actually become pretty fun. Halfway done with any percent as I pick up my second thing. All baller levels are really boring, so I'm just going to skip over all of them. BO1/AO3, definitely the hardest 8-ball station of the entire game. This is a bit more difficult, especially at the end with a skip where you have to push the ball onto a moving seesaw, skipping the balloonfish, which I actually died on. The next station, AO2, is where I make the biggest slip up of the run. I went too early trying to run towards the goal and ended up dying to a bomb, and then I die again trying to retrieve the Rainmaker. With that massive time lost out of the way, I move on to one of my favourite levels, another grind rail station with dualies. In this one you can do lots of cool skips by jumping on boxes or across gaps. Third thing down, only one more. Just a helpful tip for dialogue in Spanish, for some reason every correct option will always be the bottom one. And the only really difficult station in between thing 3 and 4 is IO4. Can't Touch Me station is difficult because, let's just say it's hard to speedrun if any damage kills you instantly. So that's the final thing, and we can start the escape levels. But there is a 2-minute long unskippable cutscene that I use as an opportunity to grab some water. Next is the escape levels, 8 difficult levels before the final boss fight. Number 1, 4, and 5 are all pretty simple, and I don't really have any big skips. But number 2 has one of the most famous Splatoon skips ever, second only to World 4 skip in Splatoon 1. It's Octo Shot skip. Usually this level has 2 parts. The first half you grab bombs, and the second half you grab the gun so you can climb a wall and shoot a switch. But you can use the Octo Seeker to raise up to where the switch is, and then throw a bomb onto the wall and hope it can ink the switch. This thing is tiny, and the chances of a bit of ink hitting it are very low, so most Octo Expansion runs end here. That's why I wanted to do it as early as possible, so that I wouldn't waste a ton of time if I reset. And thankfully I got it on attempt number 7, which is pretty lucky. But the ink doesn't need to hit the switch fully. In my run, only a portion of it got inked, but there's a strange glitch in the game called the pause glitch, or something stupid like that, where if a switch isn't fully inked, you can just pause and unpause the game really quickly to make it activate. I have no idea why this works. When we enter the third phase, the game magically gives us a gun. The belly phase, I always seem to mess up in some way, but this time I only half messed up. Skip a few phases because they're boring, and we're at the second to last escape level. Here in the peristalsis phase, you can alternate pressing ZR and ZL to shoot the orb, but without losing any ink. This phase isn't easy, but I managed to stumble my way through successfully until the end, which I messed up a lot. But then it's time for the final boss, Agent 3. The easier version though, we'll do the hard version later. Now it's time for the final boss, NILS. But before that we have a 7-minute long unskippable cutscene. So, a good time for a bathroom break. The actual NILS fight is the same as Girl Power Station. It's hard-coded to be 3 minutes long so it can fit the length of the song. Wait a minute, that rhymed. If you do it faster, you just have to wait for the timer to run out. So I drew a smiley face. After the game saves, it's safe to reset the game. This will skip the credits, and I turned off my internet earlier so it also skips the news. And now the rest of the speedrun is just doing levels. All tower control levels are basically just auto-scrollers. There's no real way to speed them up past just not dying. All I did was just remember where the enemies spawn so I could spawn trap them. GO8. This station has a massive speedrun skip in it. You can shoot the grappling using the bamboozler, but only if you jump right as the platform stops moving. Because physics, it launches you just barely enough into the air. This skips the entire level. BO7. My usual plan for this is to try and get the bumpers in the center first and then the ones at the top, because if they're left by themselves then it's much more difficult. This plan pretty much always fails. For EO6 you need to get 3 8-balls in a line, so I turn off motion control so that I can line up my gun in the perfect position to hit the 8-balls in the exact same way that will make a horizontal line every time. EO3. This station I sometimes hate and sometimes think it's really fun. It has cool skips, but they aren't too easy to do. Toes. There isn't really a plan for this boss. Just remember to use ink armor and take damage to the shower. This makes it so it doesn't go around the stage fully. Next we go through a bunch of easy simple levels. One shot station has a very easy technique. Shoot the bottom one as soon as possible. And also, in one shot station, you can actually do 2 shots. JO6/D11. I usually mess this up, but this time I didn't. JO8/F11. A boss fight and a baller. This isn't exactly hard, because you literally can't take damage. It just takes a long time. F10. I used to really hate this station, but after getting better at it, I think I really like it now. Just only messed up one part. I used to hate CO6 too. And I still do. FO7/C12. The other matching station. This one's a lot easier as there's no rapid blaster. CO8. A really fun, cool idea for a station, but a nightmare to speedrun. Or at least without proper practice. I don't have proper practice. I realized here that I missed 2 stations back up in the D line, including this strange pool level that I messed up. At the end of FO2, there is probably my favourite skip in the entire speedrun. It doesn't skip much, but it looks awesome. And time for our final boss before my inner demon. The only trick for this boss is that the bamboozler can shoot the tentacle while you're still on the ground. Just do the rest as intended. It was here that I realized, because of all the slip-ups and deaths I'd done earlier, my goal of 3.5 hours was probably not gonna be possible. And after beating EO8, that's the last station. All 88 levels are complete, but there's still one more. Inner Agent 3. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like that my goal was gonna be possible. I would need to do the boss fight incredibly fast, without dying once. And I did just that. With 43 seconds to spare, I had just beaten one of Splatoon's hardest speedrun categories in under 3.5 hours. That places me at 15th, by the way. The full unedited run will be linked in the description as an unlisted video, so you can check it out. So, bye.